It's wonderful to see such a full house. We were expecting nothing less for Mosab. I am Lorenzo Bondioli. I am Assistant Professor of Medieval Islamic History here at Harvard in the History Department. I wanted to thank some people that were instrumental to this event, the Woodbury Poetry Room, and in particular, Christina Davis, Mary Graham, and Anne-Marie Eze, the Department of Comparative Literature that co-sponsors this event, and the Center for Middle Eastern Studies, of which I am part. Now, some ground rules. We ask that you take no recordings or photos. The event is, in fact, being recorded and live streamed. It will be deposited on Hollis in Harvard's library online catalog. We will give details about the recording once it's up. The Q&As will not be recorded, and we will blend open mic with a system of index cards that our marshals up there will be distributing among the audience in case you want to ask your question anonymously. Now, we welcome all engagement and all types of questions, but we ask that you be respectful of the space and of the speaker. We hope you came here in a spirit of learning, and if your behavior is disruptive, we will ask that you leave the room. Now, many of you might want to buy Mosab's books. You will not be able to do it here tonight, sadly, but the Co-op Harvard Bookstore, Harvard Square, Brattle Street, has plenty of copies, a couple hundreds, so please go there and buy your own copies after the event or tomorrow. I think with this, I'll just leave the floor to Annette Damayanti Lienau, Assistant Professor of Comparative Literature, and I will leave it to her to introduce our incredible speaker, Mosab.
Thank you so much. Welcome back, Mosab, and welcome to everyone for joining us. Mosab Abu Toha, in many respects, needs no introduction. This is indeed a return for him. He was here as a visiting poet, librarian in residence in 2019, 2020, hosted by the Comparative Literature Department through the Scholars at Risk program in part. He is a poet, essayist, short story writer from Gaza, author of 2 poetry collections. The first, Things You May Find Hidden in My Ear, was first published in 2022 with City Lights and became the winner of the 2022 Palestine Book Award, the American Book Award, the Derek Walcott Prize for Poetry, and was also a finalist for the National Book Critics Circle Award in Poetry. He's recently published a second collection, Forest of Noise, that came out last year with Penguin. He's also an accomplished essayist who recently won an Overseas Press Club Award for Letters from Gaza, his columns that have appeared with the New Yorker magazine. And with that, I will cede the floor to Mosab, who will be beginning with a presentation and a selection of readings from his 2 books of poetry. And then we will begin with some initial questions from me as we invite those of you in the audience to formulate additional questions in the final half hour of our gathering. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me in the back? Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Woodbury Poetry Room. Thank you to the Center for Middle Eastern Studies and the Department of Comparative Literature for organizing this event. It is my great honor to be on this campus, to be speaking to you, to share some of my memories from Gaza, to share some of my words from Gaza, to share some of my love for Gaza. I will start by sharing some photos that I took in Gaza between maybe 2018 until the last genocide started. So, as a matter of fact, I was born in the Shati refugee camp in 1992, and every place in Gaza is very close to the sea. So the sea has been the only place where we can go to to see beyond the occupation of Israel. This is in Beit Lahia. The photos on the right and on the left are from our family garden, and the one in the middle was just behind the school where I taught in Beit Hanun, North Gaza. These are also from our family garden. These are some of my students. These are photos of my students. This one was taken in the classroom. The student on the left who is smiling, I mean, both of them are smiling. The one on the right is named Harith Naim. And last November, he was killed with his father in an airstrike in Deir al-Balah. So I taught in Beit Hanun in North Gaza, and Israel has ordered everyone to leave North Gaza. So Harith and his father and his siblings, everyone in Beit Hanun left. So Harith was in Deir al-Balah, southern Gaza, most of the time, all of the time after October 7. And I received the news of his death with his father in an airstrike on a car in the street. The one student on the left is Hatem Zanin. And he was one of my best. I mean, Harith was a really great student, and the child in the front was also, all of them are so smart. But Hatem was my best student. He was very smart, he was very polite, he was so shy. He would be waiting for me near the staircase to go with me down the stairs and go out of the school. So he was very close to me. And the thing in his hands was a present that the school gave him because he took part in a short story contest. So Hatem was killed in October, just one month before Harith was killed. He was killed while he was looking for firewood to help his family survive in Beit Hanun. This is my family. That's my father and my daughter and son. This is my mother forcing some oranges that she picked from her tree into my pocket. Yeah, three oranges. They could barely fit in my hand. And then this is Mustafa, the red-haired boy. He was born in Boston at Mount Auburn Hospital. I was doing the fellowship at Harvard at the time. And by the way, the only reason I could leave Gaza after October 7th was because my son, Mustafa, who I named after my father in the photo, he was an American citizen, and he's an American citizen. So that was the only reason why our names appeared on the list to leave Gaza. So I'm very thankful to Mustafa. And then this is Yazan. He's a very smart boy, like his father. So this is Yazan again, playing with the seashells. That's one of the moments when I love to go to the beach, because the beach would, around this time in the year, in September, October, November, the beach would be covered with the seashells. So this is Mustafa. He was just, I think, maybe a year old. That was when we returned to Gaza from the United States. And he loved always to mess with my books. So most of these books, by the way, this is my home library. Because in Gaza, I built 2 public libraries. Both of them were destroyed. And this one also was destroyed because our house was bombed in an airstrike in October 2023. So Mustafa always loved to open the drawers and to just pull the books down. But I always forgive him. You know why. Especially now. This is my wife, Maram, the kids. And this is our house before it was bombed. And you can see in that picture that a neighbor's house was bombed in an airstrike. And you can see the hole of the bomb when it destroyed the house. And that was still our house at the time. But then, about 2 weeks later, our house was bombed in an airstrike. And you can see the 4 stories just became something terrible. Do you recognize anyone other than me? You can see Rifat Al-Arair. He was taking a photo, a very close picture of the strawberry that he picked from this farm. And this farm, by the way, belonged to my father-in-law. So my father-in-law was a strawberry farmer, and he also used to plant potatoes, corns, onions. He made use of the space in the farm. So that was Rifat, just paying attention to his picture. And by the way, he loved to take a lot of pictures. So I caught him doing that. This is another photo that I took of him. So that was one day after he finished his classes at the Islamic University of Gaza. And he called me one day and he said, we want to go to the strawberry fields and to pick strawberries. So he picked 2 trays of strawberries, one for his family and one for his parents. This is Mr. Me. I just wanted to show you, something from Gaza. I mean, look how green it was, how beautiful it was, despite the siege, despite the fear, despite the occupation. This is Beit Lahia. This is the corn. These are the corn fields. This is the sunset. Okay, this is the last one. So I have 2 videos. So before I play it, this video has 2 parts, I think. One is 2 videos that I took as I was standing at the window of my house in Beit Lahia. And I was filming some airstrikes that Israel was carrying out in May 2021. And then the next day, I woke up to the news that in those airstrikes, a whole family was killed, a Tanani family. And I wrote a poem about this family in my first book that I'm going to read. So this is just a warning that the second half of the video shows the grandfather weeping at the bodies of the 4 children, his grandchildren. So he's just weeping and he's just reminding them, who is now going to ask me for school supplies? Who is going to ask me to go out with him? Who is going to ask me to go to the barbers anymore? So I just wanted to show you this part. If you feel like this is too much for you, you can leave the room for 5 minutes and you can come back. See, it's very dark. The electricity was off at that time. So the father, the mother.
اجا سيدي اجا سيدي اجا سيدي حبيبي يا سيدي الله يرضى الله يسهل اني سمحت فيهم حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل
الله يرحمك يا اسماعيل حبيبي يا اسماعيل. مين يروح على المدرسة؟ مين يجيب لي دفاتر وكتب واجلد لي كثير محترم ليلا؟ حبيبي يا اسماعيل الله يرحمك. ليش لابسين هذا؟
What are you wearing?
حبيبي يا اسماعيل. يا رب في هاليوم الفضيل، في يوم الجمعة الفضيل، يا رب تنتقم لهالأطفال. يا رب. حبيبي يا اسماعيل وين يا عصافير؟ وين رايحين؟ الله وين رايحين يا سيدي؟ يا الله وين يا بابا رايحين؟ وين؟ كلكم مع بعض يا سيدي؟ وين نروح ابوكم معها ها؟ وعلى الموت معها. الله يعوضنا عنكم خير يا سيدي، الله يصبرني عليكم. والله فراقكم صعب يا سيدي، 4 نجوم وابوهم قمر. وأمهم عروس. الله يرحمك يا بنت باصر، تستاهل تكون شهيد. الشهيد إسماعيل والشهيد أمير.
So this second video was taken in November 2023.
حنلاقي قال له
So in this video, when Israel started to force a very, very terroristic siege on Gaza, preventing food trucks from entering, so my family and all families in Gaza started to get starved. So my mother, in this case, remained to our bombed house to look for food under the rubble. And you will see my mother is digging through the rubble, and look what she is finding. This is my house, by the way.
كتبك الانجليزي يا مصعب هي بترمي فيها. في كتاب للجاحظ. وين هذا كان والله اشر لي عليه كمان هان كمان طلع تحتيه. ايوه هان في كتاب كمان واحد. هاي تاعت الستة أذكر شو دور النشر تاعت مصعب.
هذه شنطة
دور النشر. لا شنطة دور النشر تاعت مصعب.
So this is the airstrike which Israel carried in Jabalia on October 31st, which killed or injured about 400 people. And I was in the Jabalia refugee camp because our house was bombed 3 days before. So I was in the camp just 700 meters away from this site. And I ran with my phone camera. الولد عايش؟ في هان خطة يا عمي، في خطة جوا هان. يا عم تعبان وين يجي يا عم؟ Skip here. Okay, so this is the aftermath of so this is a whole neighborhood here. This is my birthday. School شباب. تعالوا هلا. تعالوا هلا شباب، أنا بقول خشوا تحت السقف بلاش تصير شظايا.
والله احنا غاطسين بين المباني.
كثير يلا.
اذكر الله وخلاص يا جماعه.
احنا مبدئيا يعني نقعد هذا احتياط.
ولا تجي شيء من فوق.
طلبات ما لهاش صارت زي هيك علينا، الله اعلم.
انت هاي الخمسه.
قصة المدافع هذا طيران طبعا. هاي المدفع، هذه مفهومة. صار خبط هيك. صار الخبط هيك.
دفاعيه هذا. Okay, I'll stop here. So I'm going to read one poem from this book. And this poem, as I said, was written about the Tanani family who were massacred by Israel. The whole family, the father, the mother, the 4 children. And the mother, by the way, was pregnant. So I would say 5 children. This poem is called Shrapnel Looking for Laughter. The house has been bombed. Everyone's dead. The father, the parent, the kids, the parents, the toys, the actors on TV, characters in novels, personas in poetry collections, the I, the he, and the she. No pronouns is left, not even for kids when they learn parts of a speech next year. Shrapnel flies in the dark, looks for the family's peals of laughter, hiding behind piles of disfigured walls and bleeding picture frames. The radio no longer speaks. Its batteries have burned. The antenna is broken. Even the broadcaster felt the pain when the radio was hit. Even we, hearing the bomb as it fell, threw ourselves to the ground, each of us counting the others around them. We were safe, but our hearts still ache. And whenever I read this poem, because this poem was written in May 2021, I always say that the we in the poem here, we were safe, but our hearts still ache. So many of this we were killed or have gone missing. Because, by the way, about 3,000 people in Gaza, they were not killed. They were not kidnapped. They were not injured.
They just went missing. No one knows where they are. 3,000 people, and no one talks about them. So that was from Things You May Find Hidden in My Ear. And by the way, this is, some of you know, this is the only book that I got with me out of Gaza before our house was bombed. So, Forest of Noise. My dreams as a child. I still have dreams about seeing the refugee camp from a window on a plane. I still have dreams about seeing the refugee camp from a window on a plane. I still have dreams about a room filled with toys my mother always promised we could have if we were rich. I still have dreams about seeing the animals I learned about in 3rd grade. Animals, giraffe, kangaroo, and wolf. I still have dreams about running for miles and miles with no unexploded bombs scaring me off, with no border blocking my feet. I still have dreams about my favorite team playing soccer on the beach, me waiting for the ball to come my way and run away with it. I dream still about my grandfather, Hassan, how much I want to pick oranges with him in Jaffa. But my grandfather died. Jaffa is occupied, and oranges no longer grow in his weeping groves. So every time I read any poem, I have something new to add. So in this poem I said, I still have dreams about running for miles and miles with no unexploded bombs scaring me off. And today, 2 people died. 2 people were killed after an unexploded ordnance went off in Al-Fakhura in Jabalia. So instead of the whole world, convening and meeting to see how we can save what can be saved, they are talking about taking over. No one is talking about anything that is really practical to save whoever could be saved in Gaza. So every time I read a poem or talk about something, there is something new happening, because the poem, and this is very important, the poem has never ended. It continues to be written. So this is my dreams as a child. No art. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Elizabeth Bishop. You know everything will come to an end. The sugar, the tea, the dried sage, the water. Just go to the market and restock. Even your shadow will abandon you when there is no light. So just keep things that require only you. The book of poems that only you can decipher. The blank map of a country whose cities and villages only you can recognize. I've personally lost 3 friends to war, a city to darkness, and a language to fear. This was not easy to survive, but survival proved necessary to master. But of all things, losing the only photo of my grandfather under the rubble of my house was a real disaster. So this poem was written way before October 7th. And in the poem I say I lost 3 friends to war. I mean, even the number of students I lost is more than 3. The number of family members that I lost, 31 people from my family were killed in one airstrike. Just in one airstrike, 31 people from Abu Toha family were killed. That was just a week after October 7th. I'm not going to go over the many family members, my friends, my neighbors, my students who were killed in the following 17 or 16 months. Under the rubble. She slept on her bed, never woke up again. Her bed has become her grave, a tomb beneath the ceiling of her room, the ceiling a cenotaph. No name, no year of birth, no year of death, no epitaph, only blood and a smashed picture frame in ruin next to her. In Jabalia camp, a mother collects her daughter's flesh in a piggy bank, hoping to buy her a plot on a river in a faraway land. This part is about the likes of my wife's uncle, Nasim Abu Shadiq, who was killed by a sniper in Beit Lahia. Nasim was born mute and deaf, and he was the father of 2 children. The youngest was 1. He was abducted along with all the men from inside the school shelter, where my 2 kids, Yazan and Yafa, used to go, and where I attended my 4th grade. They were taken from that school shelter And he was taken into the Kamal Udwan hospital because the Israeli forces used it sometimes as an interrogation center. So a few hours later, they let him go. When he was let go, he was only wearing his underwears because the Israelis forced him to remove all of his clothes. So the only clothes he could find in the hospital were the medical uniform, doctor's uniform. By the time he arrived, because I know the distance between the hospital, Kamal Udwan, and the school. It's about maybe maximum 7 minutes walk. When he arrived at the gate to the school, he was shot by a sniper. And there was a photo on the internet of someone. He was, by the way, after they released Nassim, the school itself was burnt. It was set on fire. So no one knew who this guy was. He was left in the street because if he remained in the street for days, the cats and dogs would eat his body, just like we saw in many videos, the latest of which was I posted yesterday on my social media. Israeli soldiers, thugs, filming 2 dogs feeding on the body of a Palestinian. They were filming it. They were not only watching it, they were filming it. And then they uploaded it so we can see. See who we are? So Nassim was left out in the street, and no one could approach his body because the sniper was able to shoot anyone who would approach his body. So it was a very difficult task to get his body and bury it. So this small part is about Nassim and his friends. A group of mute people were talking sign. When a bomb fell, they fell silent. It rained again last night. The new plant looked for an umbrella in the garage. The bombing got intense, and our house looked for an umbrella. And our house looked for a shelter in the neighborhood. I leave the door to my room open so the words in my books, the titles and names of authors and publishers could flee when they hear the bombs. I became homeless once, but the rubble of my city covered the streets. This is a real one. I saw some people doing this. They could not find a stretcher to carry your body. They put you on a wooden door they found under the rubble. Your neighbors, a moving wall. The scars of our children's faces will look for you. Our children's amputated legs will run after you. This one again. So many fathers went out, spending hours to secure some bread for their kids. Some of them didn't make it home. They were killed in airstrikes because Israel. I have so many stories. I don't want to tell you about a friend who is named Nassim, who was killed in the wheat flour massacre in February 2024. Anyway, so many fathers who went to get some bread for their kids, they were killed in airstrikes. He left the house to buy some bread for his kids. News of his death made it home, but not the bread. No bread. Death sits to eat whoever remains of the kids. No need for a table. No need for bread. A father wakes up at night, sees the random colors on the walls drawn by his 4-year-old daughter. The colors are about 4 feet high. Next year, they would be 5. But the painter has died in an airstrike. There are no colors anymore. There are no walls. I changed the order of my books on the shelves. 2 days later, the war broke out. Beware of changing the order of your books. What are you thinking? What thinking? What? You. You. Is there still you? You there? Where should people go? Should they build a big ladder and go up? But heaven has been blocked by the drones and F-16s and the smoke of death. My son asks me whether when we return to Gaza, I could get him a puppy. I say, I promise, if we can find any. I ask my son if he wishes to become a pilot when he grows up. He says he won't wish to drop bombs on people and houses. When we die, our souls leave our bodies, take with them everything they loved in our bedrooms. The perfume bottles, the makeup, the necklaces, the pens. In Gaza, our bodies and rooms get crushed. Nothing remains for the soul. Even our souls, they get stuck under the rubble for weeks. I'll read one more poem from here, and then one new poem, and that would be it. But before I do this, I said our souls get stuck under the rubble for weeks. In October 2024, so 4 months from now, I was with my wife and kids on our way back from New York City to Syracuse on the train, and we got the news that my wife's uncle's house was bombed. And in that house was my wife's uncle, his brother, some relatives. So, I mean, more than maybe 100 people. So it was 4 houses. So the house was bombed. And then at once they announced that 30 people were killed. Of them was my wife's uncle, his wife. His name is Saadi Abu Shadiq. Her name is Jihan al-Masri. They were killed with their 3 daughters. One daughter was killed with her husband and her 5 children. One son survived. His name is Suhaib. And I posted about him, by the way. If you follow me, you will see I posted about Suhaib. He was wounded, etc. And he needed to be transferred from the Kamal Udwan hospital because when Israel at the time invaded the Kamal Udwan hospital, that was way before they abducted Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya. No. They invaded the Kamal Udwan hospital. They expelled all the doctors and the nurses and even the cleaners. So there was no medical staff there. So Suhaib needed medical attention, and he couldn't be transferred from the Kamal Udwan hospital to a Shifa hospital or Al-Ahli hospital. He needed any coordination with the Israelis because if anyone moves, they would kill him. What happened? I think it was a month after that the World Health Organization managed to get clearance from the Israeli forces to transfer some of these critically wounded people, including Suhaib, to a Shifa hospital. You know how far a Shifa hospital in Gaza, how far it is from Kamal Udwan? Maximum 10 minutes by ambulance. So when Suhaib was in the ambulance, escorted by the WHO staff, of course they were stopped at a checkpoint between North Gaza and Gaza City. When the Israeli forces opened the door of the ambulance, they said to him, "Welcome, Suhaib. We will treat you later." Some of you will ask, how did you know? Did you listen? No. His uncle who was with him, he was present there because a patient does not leave by himself. He should be accompanied by someone. So they told him, "Welcome, Suhaib." Just like they did to me. When my name and my wife's name and our children's name were listed on the border crossing to leave Gaza, when I arrived at the checkpoint, they said, the young man with a black coat, with a black backpack, drop your son. I was carrying my son, Mustafa, God bless him. And they said, drop your son and drop your bags and come to us. The same thing they did to Suhaib. They said, "Welcome, Suhaib." They were waiting for him. He was wounded and he needed medical. They said, "Welcome, Suhaib. We will treat you later." They said it in Arabic. And until today, we don't know where Suhaib is. We don't know. We don't know whether he is surviving. You know Dr. Adnan al-Bursh. He was taken from inside Al-Auda hospital after fleeing a Shifa hospital. He was taken from Al-Auda hospital, and then a few months later, he was announced dead. We don't know how many of these people. By the way, my sister's husband was abducted also around that time, and we don't have any information about him. That's my brother. I don't have any information about him. And he's not seeing. We don't know. We don't know. So these are some of the stories that you hear from me, and there are millions of stories that you will be hearing from other Palestinians, whether from Gaza, from the West Bank, from inside of Israel. They just, I think 2 days ago, the Israelis arrested someone, an artist, Palestinian artist in Israel. So you could be taken away and no one can ask about you, just like they did to Suhaib. "Welcome, Suhaib. We will treat you later." That's it. This is the story to him. So, okay? So, "Welcome, Suhaib. We will treat you later." Okay? So it's like the US, by the way. "We will bomb you. We will rebuild you later." "Welcome, Gaza. We will drop hundreds of bombs on you. We will rebuild you later. And we will do it, and you are not going to live there. We will live there. And we will bring all the people from around the world to live there. It will be a beautiful place, you know? but without you Palestinians, okay? So I will read one poem, but before I will read this new poem, before we said, sorry. Okay, so this poem was published online after the book came out, so I didn't have any chance to be in the book. A hand is no longer a hand. After the airstrike, near a mulberry tree and some wild plants, they found the unmoving body of a boy. An eye was completely closed, the other was half open, watching for any piece of shrapnel that could kill him again. In my city, the army rounded up all the men, forced them to stand against the wall of the primary school. The hands raised, touched the newly painted bricks as if getting prepared to play the piano before the bullets drummed on shivering heads and backs. During the airstrikes, we sat on the tiled, dusty floor, stock still as pills in a bottle in a pharmacy, in a town where no one gets sick, where everybody is dead. I was in Syracuse with my wife watching Al Jazeera videos from Gaza, and we saw this poem. I wrote it. I saw it. I saw the poem on TV. I look at his wrist. It is crushed, nearly severed. And then at his shoulder, a bone is fractured. He is 4 years old. I say to my wife, Maram, oh, look how brave he is. He is not crying, and no pain, no tears, even no parents beside him. I set my eyes on his face. His heart, his eyes are not moving. His heart is not beating. He is taking a rest. This part is about the video and the photos that I just talked about, cats and dogs. So not only people were starved in Gaza, but also cats and dogs and mice, and maybe the sky itself was starving. So there is one photo that I saw of a dog that was biting on the hand of someone. A hand is no longer a hand, as long as it does not find another hand to shake, as long as it does not find food to share with others, as long as it does not find a pen to write, as long as it's the only meat a dog can find to eat, as long as it goes missing forever. I will skip this part. If we stay in our houses, they bomb us. If we shelter in a school, they bomb us. If we run to a hospital, they bomb us. If we move into a tent, they bomb us. If we go to a toilet, they bomb us. If we run from an airstrike, they bomb us. If we do not do any of this, they still bomb us. If we stay like a tree or temporarily leave like a leaf in the fall, they bomb us. But spring will come, and those who bomb us will find no bombs among the flowers. We will be on the trees, bathing in the sun, while those who bomb us, will have no sun, no place to rest, and no legs to run. He never woke up. I can see a juicer, a mattress, a blanket, what remains of a closet, what remains of a basket, and maybe a potato or an onion. The dust makes it difficult for me to distinguish an onion from a potato, but I can distinguish death. I can see it in the open mouth, in the closed eyes. I can see every one of us under the rubble. So this is called A Hand is No Longer a Hand, and you can find it online. So I'll end with one poem from this book. It's called Right or Left, and it's written to a sister of a friend of mine. The friend was killed, his father was killed, his mother was killed, the sister was killed along with two other sisters. They were killed in Al-Nusayrat, southern Gaza, in November 2023, just, I think, a week after I was released from the Israelis. And the bodies of this sister, the body of the father, and the body of the friend the three of them, remain under the rubble until today. Right or left? Under the rubble, her body has remained for days and days. When the war ends, we try to remove the rubble, stone after stone. We only find one small bone from her arm, from her body. It is a bone from her arm. Right or left, it does not matter as long as we cannot find the henna from her neighbor's wedding on her skin, or the ink from a school pen on a little index finger. Thank you.